candidate gets to share their platform, their heart of service, and why they want to continue giving back to Texas Tech. So I'm going to read some ground rules, and then I'm also going to introduce our panel that will be facilitating questioning today. The forum will be divided into 4 rounds, or groups of questions based on office in the following order: graduate vice president, internal vice president, opening statements, questions from the panel, questions from the audience, and closing statements. After drawing for order, each candidate will have the opportunity to make an opening statement for no more than 1 minute. Each candidate will respond to 4 questions, non-consecutive, except for GVP candidates. They will respond to a total of 3 questions. Each candidate will have a maximum of 1 minute to respond. The other candidates for the same office will have 45 seconds to return the same question. That is, each candidate will have an opportunity to respond to every question asked. In summary, a max of 1 minute for questions directed at you and a max of 45 seconds for questions directed at your opposing candidates. After each candidate for an office has responded to their question will high tech like that. So if you scan this QR code, it should take you to the Google Form link. Patrick Smallwood, if you raise your hand, our election commissioner, will be fielding questions to give to the panel to ask you. So please make sure the questions you are asking are appropriate, team building, at the end of the day, enhancing the Red Raider experience. Candidates, you will see cards that Patrick has in his hands that give you time warnings. The green card indicates 30 seconds. The yellow card indicates 10 seconds. The red card means you've stopped. So now moving on to our wonderful panel. So we have Patrick Smallwood. He's currently our election commissioner. He'll be keeping time. We have Adam Disque. He's our graduate vice president. He'll be asking Grad VP questions. And then we have Reese Nations, managing editor of The Hub at TTU, which is an online media platform, news platform, correct? Yes. He'll be asking questions. And then we have Austin Watts, editor-in-chief of the Daily Torador, who will be asking questions as well. Like stated previously, for each candidate who is represented on the stage for that office, that current officer holding the position will be asking questions. Okay, we will now begin with
everybody. This is, for one, I'm glad to be here, and thank you panelists for putting together this here forum for us to discuss our initiatives, our goals, our ideals, what we are intending to do for our campus, Texas Tech. I also want to just thank my contenders that are here with me as well. Honestly, it is a blessing to be able to All right, yeah.
Um, Hello, my name is Yed Nguyen. My pronouns are she.
Just go ahead. Yeah, just go
Very
ahead.
good. I'll go ahead and give you this one.
Yeah, that'll work. No, that'll work. Go ahead.
Okay, hello? Can you hear me now? Okay, perfect. Again, my name is Adam Sipian, the current graduate vice president, and Randy, I believe you're going to be the first one to answer.
Thank you so much for that question. That is, I believe, a concern, a deep concern. Personally, I have never been a part of SGA myself, but I have been involved with various organizations like the Graduate Association of Physicists, where I helped, well actually I helped found that organization because we didn't have a community. I've also served as president of the Black Graduate Student Association as well.
so spaced out on our campus. That includes being over the law school and the Texas Tech Museum.
Can you repeat the question one last time?
Yeah. So what are your plans to better engage the graduate student population, and how will you measure the success of your proposed plan?
It's about grinding, studying hard. It's about communicating, networking, and building a rapport with people and companies. We will gauge that success by obviously how many regulators are hired after college. That's all.
Hey everyone. So once again, I'm Reese Missions. I'm managing editor for the Hub at TTU. Yet, you'll be for a shot semester. So reflecting back on the spring semester, you have all been busy campaigning for the position of graduate vice president. What has been the largest concern that has been voiced by your fellow graduate students, and how has that either changed or fortified your priorities?
Okay, so a lot of graduate students have night courses, and a lot of undergraduates who are running for positions don't have night courses. So they find it such a surprising moment when someone actually goes to their classroom to speak to them and hear what they are concerned about. So by us going to the classroom, meeting them where they are, supporting what they need, is what we, as a graduate vice president, should be doing. A lot of the students here at Texas Tech, 6,645 students are graduate students. 8.3% of the population is international. Do you know how much that is? That is 3,084 graduate students. If they do not have a first language in English, they need that support to get through the program, to get through what they came here to do. Thank you.
Okay. I guess just to rephrase, you said what was the main thing that we.
What has been the largest concern that has been voiced by your fellow graduate students, and how has that either changed or fortified your priorities?
Okay, like we had said, there's a huge population of international students. One come across is that they feel like their voice is not heard at all. Grad school students are international students in general. So counting on them because they're one day going to lead jobs, lead businesses, and lead countries. So making sure their voice is heard and making sure that they have their dreams are met with the correct resources and the correct organizations. That's it.
And Charles? Yes, sir. What has been the largest concern that has been voiced by your fellow graduate students, and how has that either changed or fortified your priorities?
Excellent question. In my time at Texas Tech, there has been quite a few questions. I think graduate students are good for pining about things, but one of our major issues, and it's, I guess, like as they mentioned, international students make up 22% of our population, and 22% of our population, and they need assistance. As far as we're interested in creating an international lawyer that is available for all students, whether you are studying abroad or you are from abroad, so that you have some advice when it comes to legal issues, whether you're pulled over by State Patrol or even by Border Patrol itself.
Hayden, my question's going to be for you first. Those who run for the graduate vice president position typically have unique experience on campus that are uncommon for many undergraduate students. Some of our candidates here tonight are campaigning alongside other undergraduate students, while others are focusing purely on who are in graduate school. What benefit have each of you seen from the path you've chosen, and justify why one method is more effective than the other?
Okay, first off, I'm not gonna be the one to say what one method is better than the other, but I will say the one path that I've taken as an undergraduate student, I wasn't very involved on campus. I was in a fraternity, and I believe I provide an outside voice that normally SGA does not have. Outside of that, I worked in college. I took summers off, spent time with my family, took vacations, and after I graduated, I was met with a decision either to go to school or find a career path. And I was met with the harsh reality that there's not a lot of jobs out there in the field that I want. So I came back to school to prove not only that to myself that I can have a job, but with that my MBA, I can have a managerial position in that job and lead my company to success.
Charles, do you need me to repeat the question, or are you good? Let's see. What benefit have you seen from the path that you've chosen and justify why your method is more effective than others?
I'm sorry, one more time?
What benefit have you seen from the path you have chosen while you've been campaigning, whether it's campaigning with undergraduates, campaigning with other graduates?
Okay. I have had the great experience of working with Hunter Heck and Clay Davis. When I came into this, we met actually at a coffee shop, and we sat down and we talked, and what turned into, I thought was going to be a 5-minute conversation, turned into an hour and a half of just pure dialogue. And I realized, I didn't go to school here at Texas Tech, but I realized that there are some excellent undergraduates here. I've taught them, but have I had the opportunity to work beside them? And a part of Tech Together, not only have I got to meet Hunter and Clay, but I've also got to meet some great senators, and along the way, some great graduates as well that are interested and are very excited about our campus. And I want to be up here to just, again, continue that excitement. And the ideal is really to bring us all together. I think that's the real change that we need, and that's the change that we should get.
What benefit have you seen from the path you chose while campaigning, whether working with undergraduates or working with more graduates, and justify why one method is more effective than the other?
Like Hayden said, you can't really justify if one method is better than the other, besides if it has research to back that this is the method. So in my experiences with campaigning with all graduate students, it's insanely difficult, very difficult to get graduate students together to campaign in general. But my experience has always been a student, even as a graduate candidate. I learned so many things about graduate students I never thought would be affecting them. Do y'all know that $775 million is the endowment to Texas Tech, and $47 million are to plant funds? Where is this money going? While our veterans need a veteran support program to track how they are graduating, where they are graduating, they need counselors to help them to get through classes, because they do not feel accepted in undergraduate classes or even graduate, depending on where they are. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys. We're going to go ahead and now move into the period of audience questions, which will be 5 minutes. How this will work is it won't be directed toward any one candidate. After current grad VP Adam Disque asks the question, it is up for grabs for whoever wants to kind of go at it first, and then y'all can kind of piggyback, and we'll continue from there. With that being said, let us get ready for a minute, and we will be with that.
Okay. So we thought the hard questions were over. Let's see what we have for you guys from the audience. So the first question is, with graduate students in terms of equity and access, how are you helping them in terms of cost of living expenses, assistantships, and the like, so that they can effectively live and succeed while at Texas Tech? And they wrote that question with like no grammar. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, we just kind of dropped in? Oh, well, yeah, one of our initiatives with Tech Together, we're not just looking at undergraduate initiatives, but graduate initiatives as well. And that's been the unique thing about being a part of this campaign. We have chosen for one of our initiatives to work on insurance, affordable insurance for graduates. Insurance right now is $1,600 per semester. As an international student, you're required to have it. As a domestic student, it is not required. But nobody wants to walk around with the fear of not having insurance or something happening and having to go to the hospital. A means of helping assist our graduates, taking that burden off their back, is by finding affordable insurance and giving them that option. We're also looking at lunches. We are looking to create reasonable and nutritious lunches that are available. How many of y'all have ever spent $10 on lunch alone? And yes. And then had to go back around for dinner for $10, $15. We're looking to find lunches that are $5, something that is affordable and that's nutritious and that is accessible to all students.
Can we rebuttal?
Yeah, go for it.
So how are you going to balance out $5 lunches when we're already suffering with tuition, with childcare, with insurance, with other things, along with the university being able to balance out that price for it to function?
As far as lunch goes?
The university as a whole. The university spending is very acute on how much students are charged by fees. That includes medical fee, library fee, and all of that.
We're talking about the students, though. We're talking about as far as what they're taking home. And as a graduate who has worked on a TA salary and RA salary, I had insurance once, and it was a burden. It was a burden. I was eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every day. I still eat PB&J every day because of that. But the fact is, if I could, honestly, sometimes it's just helpful to have a couple extra bucks in your pocket. I don't have children, so I really don't know, but I work with children each and every day, and I see parents come in and out and ideals of childcare, and I agree. I love that ideal of childcare. I think that's a great ideal. But I would like to reach something that is tangible, that affects all of us, and that impacts all of us at the same time.
So the next question is, what resources do you plan to provide for international students at Texas Tech?
Well,
Okay, I actually really like this question. In some way or shape or form, this question gets asked almost every year, and it's always met with the same thing, especially when it comes to the insurance side. A lot of times, the candidate always says, well, we're going to advocate for them at state and local laws, and I think that answer is just a beat around the bush. It's time to look at other alternatives, whether that be looking at global healthcare companies like PGH. It is something that I'm looking into, but not necessarily one that I believe that we should go with. Right now, the healthcare for international students is with Aetna. Aetna costs about $2,000 plus annually per year. With PGH, it costs about $800. While that is still a decent amount of money, it equals about $67 per month. So making sure, doing the research, doing what we need to do to find affordable healthcare options for our international students is, I think, in the top 10% of what we need to do as a campaign.
So my initiative, a tuition-free English course for international students, that includes faculty, staff, and students as well. I personally do not know all about the insurance part of international students, but I do know that there is a language barrier. If we're giving our TAs who are international some crap about not speaking properly, then we need to supplement an English course for them to go through the program, for them to teach our undergraduate students here. That's all I got.
may I offer? One of my main initiatives that I'm very excited about is, again, creating an international attorney. And I do say that it is for everybody, that whether you're studying abroad or you're just a student abroad, I've had experiences with other graduates that have come to Texas Tech and been a part of a program for 2 and 3 years and happened to go home, which is across the sea. And in 2016, when the changing of the guard of our government, they were not allowed to come back to America. And they weren't able to have any assistance, no one to guide them, to tell them what is needed to get through this process. In fact, I don't even know if they ever came back to finish their degree. So for me, finding an attorney, an international attorney that is affordable, or sorry, not affordable, but is available at your call is much more of a priority. Thank you.
All right, thank y'all. So now we're moving into closing statements. And Hayden, we would like to invite you to go first. And those, again, are going to be 1 minute.
Okay, so I really want to just reiterate who I am as a person and a student. I am a non-traditional student who after graduation looked for a career path and even took a semester off. I'm also a first-generation student and now the first person in my family to go to grad school. No one told me how to correctly be a student. I had to figure it out on my own. I know I have no experience in politics and in SGA, but I do believe I provide a voice that every non-traditional first generation or even a regular student has, and I will advocate for them as well. I bleed scarlet and black, and I love this school more than anything, even back when I was a freshman in Weymouth 920. This university has had the same problems year after year, which go unsolved, and are led by empty promises, and I hope to lead that change. I've had a vision for this university, and I can't start until day 1 of my term, but, this university is special to me because of not just the traditions and the rich history, because of the students. I look forward to hopefully representing them and advocating for their voice, because we all know graduate students sometimes get left in the dark.
Viet?
My name is Viet Nguyen. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I identify as queer. I am Asian of Vietnamese descent, and I'm a person of color. And as non-traditional as our graduate students are, my campaign is as non-traditional as is. We have veterans, we have people of color, we have LGBT people, we have parents, we have people with families. So I am your candidate for the graduate vice president position, and if I do win, it will all be on the merit of truth and honesty in being who I am. Thank you.
Thank you, Viet. Charles?
Well, first, thank you all for having me this evening. Just a little story, very quick. My dad, when I was growing up, I'm from Virginia, born in Jersey, moved to Virginia when I was 2nd grade, and my dad bought his first piece of property. And one of the first things he bought was a little tree, a bush, about this big, and we used to laugh about it. And he just used to say, watch, just watch. 20 years later, that bush is bigger than me. He's not as trim and slim as he used to be, but that tree is strong. And something that I realized is, a quote, is the idea that, great people plant trees that they may never sit under. We are here right now planting seeds, planting shrubs that one day we may never get the opportunity to see, but somebody else will benefit from. My campaign, our campaign, Tag Together, is about planting those seeds, the seeds of change, looking for coalition building, and a means of bringing the campus together. Again, my name is Charles Ramey, and I want to be your next graduate vice president. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys. Yes, we appreciate it. If the audience would give us a moment so that we can make some transitions for the next debate. At this time, we would like to invite the candidates for internal vice president to join the stage. All right, thank you. We're going to go ahead and get started. Emily's going to start us off with the first question. We're going to go ahead and start off with her. And Rolando, this first question will be to you. Oh, I'm sorry. You will have opening statements first. 1 minute each.
Suburb north of Dallas. I'm a junior marketing and finance double major, pre-law in the honors college here as well. I'm running to be vice president for internal affairs on behalf of the For the Future campaign. I've been involved in SGA for 3 years now, serving in the first year council, then in the SGA ambassadors program, now serving as a business senator with the roles of business committee chair and campus infrastructure chair. In addition to my involvement in SGA, I am also in Mortarboard, in President Select, and in the School of Business Leadership program. It is an honor and such a humbling experience to stand here in front of you all and to be running for such a great position that will allow me to advocate for fellow Red Raiders because I'm here for you. Thank you.
Clay?
Hey guys, my name, test. Okay. Hey guys, my name's Clay Davis and I'm running to be your internal vice president. And this leads me to a quote, and it comes from a wise friend of mine. And the two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. And my why for wanting to be your internal vice president is simple: service. I am super passionate about serving the Red Raider body here at Texas Tech, and I'm running on behalf of the Tech Together campaign with Hunter Heck and Charles Ramey, along with all of the other beautiful senators. So vote Tech Together come March 4th and 5th. Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Now we're going to enter into the period of questioning. Rolando, you will start us off with the first question, and I'm going to pass it to Emily.
Hello, like Patrick says, my name is Emily Garcia, and I'm the current internal vice president. So the first question's for Rolando, and it is, as internal vice president, student senators often look to you for guidance and help with ideas concerning legislation. This requires you to be knowledgeable about what goes on within every single college, not just your own. Throughout your time at Texas Tech, how have your experiences prepared you with the amount of institutional knowledge needed for this position?
Thank you for your question, Emily. So I've been fortunate enough to be in the Rawls College business for 3 years now. With that, I've gained the knowledge of everything that goes on within that college, but also I've been able to become a member of the Honors College, which I did not come directly into. Applying into such a program gave me the horizons and experience I needed to focus and learn what concerns students have. In addition to that, I am also well equipped with the knowledge of what goes on in the different colleges because I'm involved in different organizations that also partake in those different colleges. Having that knowledge allows me to gain the experience I need to make sure I can advocate for every single Red Raider regardless of what their collegiate affiliation is. In addition to that, I just know that being a part of an organization where I can see and learn from leaders like some of you all here today have given me the experience to make sure that I'm approachable for all students and to ensure success within our Student Senate.
Clay, you have 45 seconds. If you need me to repeat the question, I can.
Please do.
As internal vice president, student senators often look to you for guidance, direction, and help with ideas concerning legislation. This requires you to be knowledgeable about what goes on within every single college, not just your own. Throughout your time at Texas Tech, how have your experiences prepared you with the amount of institutional knowledge needed for this position?
So I probably had a very non-traditional aspect of coming to Texas Tech. Being in Kasner, I've had the opportunity to travel thousands of miles across the country and meet several different people. And these people bring unique perspectives to the table. And whenever you bring these different and unique perspectives to the table, you can build a more well-rounded idea. And furthermore, I also serve as I'm also an employee of undergraduate admissions, in which I also meet several people there. And it's not the question of if they have a home at Texas Tech, it's where is their home at Texas Tech. And so I can serve by providing those students with that.
Clay, my question would be for you. As internal vice president, what do you predict will be your biggest challenge next year?
My biggest challenge next year is we obviously have a very competitive block of senators going on right now. And in this block, there are some that lack SGA experience throughout all of the blocks. And so the challenge that we're going to have to overcome is obviously learning parliamentary procedure, which I'm very well versed in. And nextly is teaching them how to write legislation as well. And so through this experience, I'm going to have to teach them some knowledge, obviously, if they are not well versed in it. So.
Do you need me to repeat it?
Yes.
Okay. As internal vice president, what do you predict will be your biggest challenge next year?
So with having so many senators run for their positions in their academic colleges and at large for this upcoming school year, it is important that whether they have SGA experience or no SGA experience, that they know the reason why they're running to be a senator. Yes, we can teach you how to write legislation. Yes, we can teach you parliamentary procedure. But it is important to understand why we're advocating for students and why we are a voice for them and why they can come to us and be as approachable as possible so that we can ensure that their needs are being met, and we can do that through legislation. And so that's just one of the awesome factors that I, as internal vice president, can help lead future senators.
Rolando, this next question is for you. Historically, senators have been some of the most involved members on our campus. Due to their involvement, we find some tendencies of complacency. How will you ensure that senators don't become complacent throughout this legislative session?
It is very important that us as senators know why we are in these positions. The ability for an internal vice president to motivate and inspire our senators to write legislation is crucial. They have to know the reason why. It is not what we're doing, but why we're doing it and who we're doing it for. And making sure that senators know that from the start, it is crucial to the success that SGA can have, because the Student Senate is the body of SGA, and the Student Senate is composed of leaders that represent our student body.
Clay, do you need me to repeat?
Please.
How will you ensure that senators don't become complacent throughout this legislative session?
So throughout the legislative session next year, it is important that senators obviously don't become complacent. And how we can do this is really interact with one-on-one with each senator. And so if each senator feels that I'm taking the time to meet with them and hear their needs, then I am doing my job as managing them as president. And so within the Senate chamber, if we can just continue to cultivate an environment where every student feels welcome to share their ideas, then obviously complacency will never be a problem.
Okay, Clay, this is for you. One of the most important aspects of the internal vice president is planning and organizing critical Senate training to include in the Senate retreat. What should senators expect from you from your leadership style? Sorry, do I need to repeat that?
Yes, please.
Okay. One of the most important aspects of the internal vice president is planning and organizing critical Senate training to include in the Senate retreat. What should senators expect from your leadership style?
For my leadership style personally, I've been heavily involved in FFA throughout high school. And during FFA, I had the opportunity to host several workshops for students. And in these workshops, it was the one-on-one experience that I got to have with each and every senator, or with each and every individual that I came into contact with. And so what they can expect from my leadership style is I have very high expectations of the senators, and I think that's evident in the chamber now. And I have very high expectations, and so other things will fall into place after that. Thanks.
Well, do you need me to repeat? One of the most important aspects of the internal vice president is planning and organizing critical Senate training to include in the Senate retreat. What should senators expect from your leadership style?
So one word that I would characterize my leadership style is approachability. I think it is very important that senators find that comfort and that ability to come speak to me regardless of what their needs may be. Whether that means that I need to help them one-on-one write legislation, whether that means I need to go with meetings with them to make sure they are connecting with the right people at the right time, I will do that, because being approachable is very important. That is something that SGA lacks entirely, and I believe with my position, I can help branch that gap with senators, and senators will learn from that as well and bridge that gap with their constituents as well.
Thank you.
All right, thank you both. We're about to enter into the period of audience questions. Again, you will have 5 minutes. There are no parameters with it in regards to who gets the time. It's up to both of you. If you'll give us 1 minute to get that set up, and we will let you know. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started.
The role of the internal vice president is to ensure that senators are passing meaningful legislation in the Senate. Since both of you have been in SGA for over a year, what specific actions have you taken to either pass meaningful legislation yourselves or to ensure that other senators are doing the same?
All right. So me personally, would you like to speak? Okay. So me personally, I've taken action in the Senate and through various ways. One piece that I'm extremely proud of right now, and more to come obviously, is a piece that I had an idea in the middle of the night. So it was like 3 a.m. I woke up and some things were going on in Nebraska. It was a huge flood. And so in this flood, a lot of farmers were affected and billions of dollars worth of damage occurred. And so I took it upon myself to meet with the dean of the agricultural college. And we had a discussion where we could set up a Venmo account for students here at Texas Tech or the greater community, the greater Lubbock community, to donate to this Venmo account. And so through this account, we were able to raise thousands of dollars that we shipped off to Nebraska and Venmoed back to the Nebraskan Farm Bureau, in which they rightfully distributed to the farmers in need.
For me, diversity and inclusion is very important. Some members of my block, along with some members currently in SGA, are actually working towards a huge legislation piece. This piece works with the Rawls College of Business and their Diversity and Inclusion Committee. This committee is only established currently within the Rawls. We want to branch that out and make sure each college can have representatives that are students, staff, and faculty represent their people, their body, so that everyone can be accepted, everyone's included, and that no matter what, everyone has a great educational experience here at Texas Tech. That is something that's required a lot of planning, a lot of meetings, and it has required me to set some time aside from my personal educational goals, just because I know the importance that what this piece can have for students and SGA as a whole.
Thank you. The next question is, what experience do you have that leads you to believe that you will have control over the Senate as president of the Senate?
For me, I would like to say approachability is very important. Knowing that people that you are leading have that relationship with you and have created that relationship with you, that they can take your advice, but they can also come with me to concerns. They can also put me in my place when I step out of bounds. But aside from that, it is just important to make sure that everyone in that Senate knows that they are accounted for and they have people that look up to them. There are people within our school that don't feel the need to voice their concerns, but we as senators must address those concerns so that everyone here at Texas Tech knows that this is their home, that this is where they belong, and that everyone's voice is always heard.
Yes. Hold on. What experience do you have that leads you to believe that you will have control over the Senate as the president of the Senate?
So personally, I sit as sergeant in arms currently, sometimes reside as parliamentarian, depends if others are there or not. So last night, I actually served as the president of the Senate chamber in the absence of others. And so I already have experience doing this. And with this experience comes also some parliamentary knowledge. And parliamentary knowledge is important in the fact that it keeps meetings efficient and keeps meetings short too, just like last night. It's typically our longest meeting. However, we were able to do it in an hour and a half with me running the chair.
Do you want to respond? Next question? Okay. Oh, you already did. Sorry. What will you do within the Student Senate to address structural issues in SGA, train senators, and improve communication with the public?
I think a big thing now is transparency. Yes, that's something we address every year, but yes, it is also something that is not taken action towards. I have a plan. I believe that first, it comes within the Student Senate. The Student Senate needs to actually be out there representing their constituents, hearing their constituents' voices face to face, not just one tabling event once a semester, not just some committee meetings that sometimes don't even occur. Next, I believe it's within SGA. Sometimes our executives make decisions, are a part of awesome things that are occurring within our school and our nation, but us as senators have no idea. We are just known of the praise they receive because of the great things they are doing. But with fixing that transparency, we can cultivate communication among all different chambers of our school. All students should know what SGA is doing, and I believe it all comes from an upside-down triangle. Right now, SGA is the overarching theme to all student organizations, but it shouldn't be that way. SGA should be at the bottom, a base that focuses on resources and is used as a platform for student organizations to rise so that they can be successful and to have all the resources they need to succeed here at Texas Tech.
That does conclude the audience questions. We will now transition into closing statements. Clay, we would like to invite you to go first.
Thank you guys for coming out tonight. I see a lot of great faces in the crowd. Love every single one of y'all. So we're all Red Raiders, right? So we all need to come together as one. And whenever we come together, there is strength in numbers. And the way that we do come together is welcome all ideas to the table. And if we welcome all these ideas to the table, we're going to create a more well-rounded idea overall, or more well-rounded pieces of legislation. And these legislation pieces will affect all of us as Red Raiders. And so please come out March 4th and 5th and vote Tech Together and vote Clay Davis for Internal Vice President. Thank you.
Rolando?
I'm here to make sure that you all, as Red Raiders, feel a part of the family. I hear you, and I'm ready to have those uncomfortable and vulnerable conversations. I'm not here to judge you, but to be your biggest advocate. I'm here to just make sure your needs as students here at our school are being met. Join me in being a part of the change that makes Texas Tech a place we can all call home, a home that is safer, more inclusive, accepting, and overall honorable. Ultimately, I'm here to make sure you have the best college experience possible because I'm here for you. I'm here for your future, and I'm here for the future of Texas Tech. Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you both. We are now going to transition. Give us a moment to set up the stage for the debate with the external vice president. All right, we're going to go ahead and begin. All right, we're going to go ahead and start with opening statements. Emily, you again have 1 minute, and whenever you're ready.
Hi, y'all. Thank you all for coming. I'd like to start by introducing myself. My name is Emily Schreiner, and I'm a marketing and management major with an international business certificate, and I'm from Allen, Texas. As external vice president, I would have the opportunity to work with the local, state, and federal communities. And the fact that I'm standing here today and able to say that I'm even in the running for this position is truly humbling. But I do understand that this is not about me. My top priority, if elected, is to create a beneficial college experience for every single Red Raider. I will be fully transparent with the student body and transform communications to ensure that each person feels heard. I will be a voice for those who feel like they don't have one, and I will be an advocate for groups who lack representation. Above all, I will put all of my personal agendas aside and serve purely for the betterment of our university. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. We're going to go ahead and now move into the questions by our panel, starting with Miranda.
With the rising price of gas, it is becoming more and more expensive to maintain the level of bus service we currently provide and the other programs offered through the student transportation fee. What are your thoughts on how to combat this problem to best serve students?
I think a big thing for fixing transportation on campus is honestly surveying and seeing where certain students ride buses from and to. And with that, I think that we need to completely transform the bus system and take the prices of gas and relate that with the prices of parking pass on campus and make sure that students are all getting the best possible prices for their transportation on campus.
Looking at the SGA Constitution, the position of external VP can be interpreted differently. What is your view of the position, and what is one program or function of the office that you plan on focusing heavily on next year?
So, in my opinion, external vice president is all things external affairs, obviously, and working a lot with the community. So, how I want to implement that is obviously through safety measures, which is a huge part of our campus, and we have several initiatives with that. But I kind of want to make it a more networking aspect where I get to connect with the mayor and state representatives as well as national representatives, and I want to bring those resources to Texas Tech students so that they have everything that they need coming out of college. It's a big struggle for some students to network because they don't all have the resources from their parents or whoever it might be to get those jobs. So I want to make it a priority for students to have resources such as alums and get mentorships. That way we can really get Texas Tech's name out to the nation and make the school even more well-renowned than it is.
So next, this is currently an election year. We have the presidential, state, and local races. What are your plans to register students to vote and get them engaged in the political process?
I think this is so important, and this is something that our campaign is currently focusing on. I think that students lack knowledge about their ability to register and where they can do that on campus. So I want to first of all, create more communication between SGA and the students because I feel like that is lacking right now. Once we do that, I feel like we can use our platform to make sure every single student has the opportunity to exercise their rights. And I also want to keep students informed and of the differences going on in the races so that every single student has the information necessary to vote and to vote educated. And I just think that allowing students to have these resources will also connect them more with Texas Tech and our Student Government Association and let them see how we work with the national government in this election process and how we use that in our school.
Thank you, Emily. We're going to go ahead and now move into the audience questions, if you'll bear with us for a minute as we get those ready. Yeah. All right, Emily, we're going to go ahead and get started. You will have 2.5 minutes to answer these questions however you like. This time is yours. And I'm going to give it to Miranda, our current external vice president.
Hi, Emily. What is your plan to increase Indigenous student enrollment at TTU?
Thank you for your question. So this is something that I have really been focusing on because after going to various organizations, I see the issues and I see that it is a very prevalent issue on our campus. So a big thing that I'm wanting to implement is microaggression training, and I know that that doesn't necessarily bring students into Texas Tech, but I think whenever students hear about this and hear the measures we are taking to ensure inclusivity, they will be willing to come to Texas Tech because they know it is a safe place to call home where they won't face microaggression. Also, I feel like we could have marketing efforts towards these students, towards international students, Indigenous students of all kinds, to ensure that they feel like they are welcome here and that whenever they get here, there is a place for them, and letting them know about those organizations and all of that.
What are some things you've done in SGA that will prepare you to become EVP for the student population?
Thank you for your question. So I would like to take a different approach to this question rather than saying the pieces of legislation I've wrote, because in all honesty, I have not had the chance to write as meaningful legislation as I wish that I could. What I've gotten from SGA throughout my time this year is a perspective on what I can do to kind of make changes in this position. And that's ultimately why I'm running for this position, because I feel like I have that outside perspective of not necessarily being the best member to bring it into a leadership position and bring that to light and let students know the importance of this role and empower our senators to make these changes, because honestly, I was unaware of some things that went on in our campus, but after this campaign, I know these things, and I'm more than willing to change them and to make strides to make our university better as a whole.
Thank you. With the discussion of the reauthorization of the Higher Education Act within the federal government, how are you going to adequately and effectively represent your Red Raiders?
Thank you for your question. On our campus, I know that I honestly am not very informed on that subject, but I'm willing to research it and to let students know that I'm here for them and that I will make do everything I can to become more knowledgeable on this and let them know that I'm their advocate and that I will do everything for the betterment of Red Raiders because they are my top priority as external vice president.
Thank you, Emily. That is time. And now we're going to move into our closing statement. You will have 1 minute for a closing statement, so whenever you're ready.
Throughout my time at Texas Tech, I've learned so much about the diverse and unique environment that makes up this school. Creating an overall safer and inclusive environment will be my top priority if elected. Something I want to emphasize is that I'm just a student like all of you, and I don't know everything, and I will make mistakes, but my willingness to learn, my ability to empathize, and my sincere passion for this university will ultimately allow me to succeed as your external vice president. And finally, I would just like to recognize our exec team and for the future as a whole. I love the quote, "The strength of the team is each member, and the strength of each member is the team." This truly embodies our campaign, and I really can't even begin to thank each person. And I commend all of our incoming candidates that aren't as educated on this and just how much they've been willing to learn. It's just really eye-opening to this university and the changes that we can make. But I think that's all I have, so thank you guys so much for allowing me to speak today.
Thank you, Emily. We're now going to prepare for the student body president debate. If you'll give us a minute to get that set up.
1. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One, two. Spearheaded the Strive for Who movement on Twitter. I've actually been able to engage in several conversations with him, working towards his solutions. So my first thing would be to continue continuity in his efforts, but then also better engage our first year students, and then increase communication with organizations across campus, because this is where the students are, and it is a trickle-down approach, starting when we generated Strive for Who movement on Twitter. I've actually been able to engage in several conversations with him, and that is so valuable. So my first thing would be to cultivate continuity and better engage with instrument, and then increase communication with organizations across campus, because this is where the students are, and it is a trickle-down approach, starting when we generated Strive for Who movement on Twitter. I've actually been able to engage in several conversations with him, and that is so valuable. So my first thing would be to cultivate continuity, better engage with instrument, and then increase communication with organizations across campus, because this is where the students are, and it is a trickle-down approach, starting when we generated Strive for Who movement on Twitter. I've actually been able to engage in several conversations with him, and that is so valuable. So my first thing would be to cultivate continuity, better engage with instrument, and then increase communication with organizations across campus, because this is where the students are, and it is a trickle-down approach, starting when we generated Strive for Who
unless they're directly, told about them. There needs to be more, transparency as far as that, to
get students involved, and I also believe that we should be getting students involved from the beginning. As soon as they get to Texas Tech, they need to know about the things that they can get involved in. There's something here for everyone, and we should be exercising that you can get involved in anything and everything.
Would you like me to repeat the question? Okay. Recently, we have seen a decrease in student involvement across campus. How will you work to increase student involvement in such a way that is a credit to the university?
Second, what Ms. Pratt noted is that generally students aren't aware of the resources available on campus and what organizations can provide. So one idea and initiative that we've actually been advocating for since the beginning is a revamp of the TTU app. So maybe looking into finding a tab within that of student organizations and allowing them to provide descriptions, how to get involved, and it's all in a single location. In addition, specifically with Student Government Association, Faisal and I actually yesterday passed a piece to encourage the next executive team to expand outreach to incorporate a more diverse pool of students for our first year engagement programs. 9 out of 17 of our current FLA, I'll follow up later, thank you.
All right, so Hunter, as the president, you become the face of students for the boards of regents, administration, faculty, and staff. These individuals are well educated, respected, and specialized in their jobs. What approach will you take in working with these university leaders?
Thank you for your question. So I've actually already had experience in working alongside these members of our administration. I currently work as a student assistant in the office of the president, and so I'm already experiencing firsthand the types of communications that they have, the level of professionalism they expect, and what type of characteristics and values that they believe to be important. So what I'd hope to do is already incorporate the experience that I have of working alongside them, carry that into this new position, and maintain professionalism, but also ensure that I am hearing the voices of my Red Raiders, because that is my role. And that is what the Board of Regents and administration is depending upon me for, is incorporating conversations within our student government so that then I can then carry those into the Board of Regents meetings, into meetings with the president, because we have a unique perspective that they don't. Thank you.
And Haley, what approach will you take in working with the Board of Regents, the administration, faculty, and staff?
I think that all comes down to communications. I'm actually in the College of Media and Communications, which I think really has prepared me for things like that and how to be approachable to other leaders and really just connect with their ideas as well. It's all about, taking their ideas and learning from it, and them hearing our ideas as well and learning from us. It's piggybacking off of each other, but it really just comes down to how you communicate with people.
And Haley, last question. We have a student population of 38,803 Red Raiders, and that number is only expected to grow. During my time, and many before, communicating with our large student body has proven to be difficult. In what ways do you plan to effectively communicate with our student body?
I think that SGA needs to be restructured internally. Obviously, we're all aware that there is a disconnect between students. Students are not aware of exactly what we do, what the Senate does, what ambassadors do, what freshman engagement does. A lot of people ask questions and don't realize that, we are the governing body. Students come to us with ideas, but we are responsible for implementing those and using our resources. And I think there's a problem internally as well. Senators are not as well aware as what they're supposed to be doing. So we just need to be transparent and fix the lack of communication between students and SGA.
Question. With the growing number of our student population, in what ways do you plan to effectively communicate with our student body?
Thank you for your question. to second again what Ms. Pratt said, there is a lack of communication there, and I think it's a general unawareness that Student Government Association is doing things and cares about the student body. And so I can think of multiple things that we would like to tangibly incorporate and revamp internally to make sure that this problem is addressed. So first, ensuring that the website is updated. Currently, if you try to get on, I think it's only updated up until like the 53rd or 54th session. So making sure that legislation being passed is readily available. Second, better empowering our ambassadors. So ensuring that the member of our cabinet who is in charge of that is maybe increasing the frequency of meetings that ambassadors attend, and then reporting back to me and those within my administration to ensure that their voices are being heard more than once a semester. Thank you.
Thank you both. We're going to go ahead and move into the audience questions, if you'll give us a minute to get that set up. All right, we are ready. We're going to go ahead and start.
We're going to go ahead
For
and
the
start.
audience questions, you'll
For
get
the
7
audience
minutes.
questions, you'll
Again,
get
this time
7
is
minutes.
y'all's.
Again,
There's
this
no
time is
structure to
y'all's.
who gets the
There's no
time.
structure to who gets the time.
And with that being said, I'm going to pass it to David.
And with that being said, I'm going to pass it to David.
Thank you, Patrick. Tonight, there's been a theme of our whys and why we're running and why we're representatives of the student body here at Texas Tech. Everyone serves by simply being a member of SGA and meeting requirements of legislation and committee meetings. Specifically, how have you gone above and beyond in your time as a senator that shows your why?
Actually, this is my first year to serve in student government, which means that I've had 1 semester and a month to effectively pass legislation based upon problems that I see. Last semester, I wrote a piece through which we partnered with the Board of Regents to provide over $2 million in funding to increase access to counseling services and mental health resources. Just a couple of weeks ago, I passed a piece by working with our administration and with facilities on campus to ensure that every single women's restroom on this campus has disposable hygiene units, so as to ensure that our females know that these buildings on our campus were created for them and that there is a space for them on our campus. In addition, I worked with hospitality services to increase transparency with TTU and our students as to how to accommodate with dietary restrictions through an app, through the website, and even looking into expanding the options that we provide on our campus. Those are just a few of those that I think I've recognized a problem, met with administration, and provided tangible solutions to provide that. I'm on the floor every Senate and am continually working with all of the other senators to ensure that our students' voices are heard and that they are being addressed by actual legislation. Thank you.
Everyone is simply a member of SGA, and by meeting requirements, that includes meeting legislation requirements, going to committee meetings. What have you done specifically to go above and beyond as your time as a senator to show your why?
Before I get into that, I actually wanted to touch on the requirements. After my block and I spoke to several Senate members and being in Senate ourselves, we realized that most of our senators feel like they're working hard to meet, or not working hard, but scrambling to meet the legislation requirements rather than focusing on something that is meaningful and following through with that, not just, scrambling just to meet your requirements. But as Rolando touched on earlier, we're working on a really big diversity piece, which I think is going to be awesome, because that's been a really big focus of our campaign, is meeting with lots of diversity orgs and giving them accurate representation. And the diversity boards are something that's only in the rolls right now, and that needs to be something that's implemented through all colleges, given recent events that have happened in the last several months at our school.
To touch into that, actually, The College of Arts and Sciences recently also made the same committee headed by and created by Faisal Ahmoud, who will be appointed as my chief of staff. So yes, so I just wanted to clarify that it's also being implemented in the arts and sciences. I also serve on that committee, and so that is an initiative that is also important to Tech Together and that we have helped to spearhead within the College of Arts and Sciences.
What does your block standing behind you say about you as a candidate?
They might say I get a little catty and bossy sometimes, but I'm sure they can attest to the fact that I'm very hardworking. I have put my heart and soul into this campaign, but not just the campaign, it's going to go beyond that. It's going to go into implementing these pieces of initiatives and legislation and making sure that they happen. And whether I'm elected or not, our work doesn't stop here. So.
What does your block standing behind you say about you as a candidate?
So what I think is unique about our block is the family-like culture within it. We had a meeting a couple weeks ago, and we literally had to kick everyone out of the fraternity house we met in like an hour after it ended because everyone was just hanging out, talking, taking pictures with our posters, just talking about how excited we are. We started tabling last week in the free speech area. We asked that 2 senators come to each, and we have an overflow of members. And I think that's one, a testament just to the senators within our block, but 2, I think as a whole, we value intentionality in our spaces. We value not only knowing the services that they can provide for our block and for student government, but what makes them unique as an individual, what their unique experiences and perspectives bring to the table and can make Texas Tech a better place. And so I just think it doesn't say much necessarily for me as a leader, except that I've been able to recognize the strengths that that each of our senators have, and that they bring so many unique ideas to the table that are so valuable, just like our whole student body. And that's something that I would hope to continue and to take into my term as student body president, is being able to evaluate those around me. I believe that's what diversity is, not just seeing differences, but seeing strength in differences and knowing how to utilize those for the betterment of our university. Thank you.
We do have a couple more minutes. So one more question. What are you going to do to ensure that students feel welcome to not only come to the Student Government Association, but you personally with concerns they have regarding the university?
Question. So one thing that we've all discussed is, first of all, most students don't even know that there's an SGA office. I didn't actually even know till halfway through last semester, and I was a senator. So I think one, just letting students know that that exists, but then incorporating an open door policy, letting students know they don't even have to come in with ideas for legislation. They can come in and say, I failed my exam, like I feel like the world's gonna end, help. And being a resource there, I think that goes from whenever you're in your classes, having an above, not above mentality, listening to the voices of your fellow students, because that's what leadership is about, is servant leadership. So I think overall the persona you communicate in class, in these positions, as well as ensuring that students know that there are resources available through social media, through our websites, and through your interactions with people, because I mean, y'all can attest to the fact that we see thousands of faces each day, and most of those are new. So, thank you.
The For the Future campaign, something that we've been trying to, really pride ourselves on is being approachable. We want all students to know that you can come to us with concerns. You don't have to be afraid, no matter what it is. If it's embarrassing, if it's controversial, please come to us. And something that we also pride ourselves on is being honest and transparent with the student body and letting them know exactly who they're electing.
Thank you both. Before we get to closing statements, just a little housekeeping. There is an announcement, so don't everybody leave after the closing statements. But with that being said, y'all will have 1 minute each. Haley, we'd like to invite you to go first, so whenever you're ready, the time will begin.
So thank you to everyone who came out today. I wanted to close things out by saying that you can wait for it, but the future isn't sitting around waiting to happen. That's why we're making strides to better our university in as many ways as we can, from juice bars at the rec to microaggression and diversity trainings for all students. If you can dream it, you can do it. I want to make sure your future is safer, more inclusive, accepting, and overall honorable. I believe my experience in SGA, my leadership skills, my close ties with various student organizations, and most importantly, my drive, desire, and dedication to meet your needs qualify me for this position. Join me and For the Future on March 4th and 5th so that we can make real change together. We're doing future stuff now because your future is what you make it.
I would just like to first say thank you all who've gathered here just to listen to our ideas and take the time to get to know us. Shout out to all the people live streaming. I know my mom's on there. But truly, y'all, Tech Together is about making sure that every student on our campus feels seen, heard, and valued. And we are committed to doing that right here and right now. We value the many perspectives that our students bring to the table. We want to make sure that their voices are heard. We are committed to making this campus safer, smarter, more inclusive, and more affordable. So if you have some questions about our initiatives or just like the opportunity to get to know us better, find one of the people in the Tech Together shirts. They showed out tonight. Or me. I'd love to answer those questions and just get to know you. My favorite place is Monument, so we could grab some coffee. But thank y'all so much for this time. We appreciate it, and I look forward to elections next week.
Thank you both, and thank you to all the candidates. Emily Garcia wanted to say, oh, you don't? Oh my gosh, okay. Oh my gosh, okay. Well, here she is.
Senators, send me a selfie, and you'll get 2 hours. Thank you.
All right, students, thank y'all so much. Thank y'all for coming out tonight. This is really one of the most pivotal moments during SGA elections. We want to encourage you all to get out and vote. The voting will take place March 4th and 5th, and elections will be announced March 6th. Your voice is truly the thing that dictates our future for our university, and we want to make sure that y'all are having your voices heard. So thank you so much for coming out tonight. If you have any more questions about what SGA is, please find the current administration. Or like I said, thank you to all of our candidates who came out tonight. Y'all truly showed where your hearts are at and where you want Texas Tech to go moving forward for the 2020-21 school year. Thank y'all so much. Y'all get home safe.